Hello and a warm welcome to South Asia Today, where we bring you in-depth insights into the key events shaping South Asia. I'm Shivangi Mishra and here are today's top stories. India's millet revolution is reshaping diets and farming practices. Early arrival of monsoon brings worry for Nepal flood survivors. And self-help groups Budgam project brings hope for jobs. Let's begin the show. Once overlooked, millets are now at the forefront of a nutritional and agricultural renaissance, with India leading the charge. From the sun-scorched fields of Gujarat to the shelves of modern urban markets, ancient grains like bajra, ragi and jowar are transforming both diets and farming practices. As health consciousness meets cultural heritage and tradition drives innovation, millets are reclaiming their rightful place on plates across India and the globe.
Millets, the ancient superfood, are making a powerful comeback. Once sidelined, these resilient, climate-smart and water-efficient grains are now gaining global recognition for their exceptional health benefits. As more people embrace sustainable eating, millets like ragi, bajra, jowar, foxtail and barnyard millet are becoming staples in modern diets. Cultivated for over 5,000 years, millets are being revived, with India, especially Gujarat, at the forefront of cultivation and promotion. Leading this quiet revolution are farmers like Meetabai Nakum from Zafrabad, who grows bajra, a hardy nutrient-rich grain ideal for semi-arid regions. Through such efforts, millets are not only nourishing people, they are redefining the future of food and farming.
ये जो बाजरा है वो सब हमारे जो दरियाई इलाके में होता है, जैसे कि जो दरिया की वो जो सॉल्टेज हवा आती है उसमें थोड़ा सॉल्टेज मिक्स होता है। वो जो हवा वो बाजरे की जो उसके ऊपर जो दाने पर गिरती है तो थोड़ा सॉल्टी होता है। इनकी जो सॉइल है वो भी पूरी फर्टिलिटी सॉइल है, उन हिसाब से वो जो बाजरे का होता है वो पूरा स्वादिष्ट होता है।
Millets have moved beyond rural kitchens to urban shelves, now available in sleek packaging as flour, snack bars and ready-to-eat mixes, making them more accessible and appealing to younger consumers. According to the 2023-24 India Brand Equity Foundation report, India exported nearly 146,300 metric tons of millets worth $70.89 million USD. With growing demand for superfoods and plant-based diets, Indian millets are gaining global traction. India remains the largest producer, with Gujarat ranking 8th.
एक ट्रेंड ऐसा आया 10-20 साल 30 साल से कि भाई जो आटा होता है वो एकदम पतला होना चाहिए, रिफाइंड होना चाहिए। मोदी जी ने आके जो कहा, जो हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर जी हैं नरेंद्र मोदी जी, उन्होंने एक बहुत अच्छी मुहिम चालू करी कि जो आटा होना चाहिए वो एक्चुअली थोड़ा थिक होना चाहिए। जो हमारी प्राकृतिक चीज़ें हैं जैसे कि रागी है, ज्वार है, बाजरा है, मकई है, उसके अंदर जो न्यूट्रिशनल वैल्यूज़ हैं वो उसका जो आटा है वो हमारी सेहत के लिए बहुत अच्छा है। उसके अंदर बहुत अच्छे फाइब्रस मटेरियल्स भी होते हैं, तो उसको जो उन्होंने पहचान दी है नहीं, वो बहुत बढ़िया है। उसकी वजह से बहुत अच्छी मार्केट डेवलप हो चुकी है और लोग उसको अडॉप्ट कर रहे हैं।
As the world battles climate change, millets offer a sustainable, nutrient-rich solution packed with fiber, protein, iron, calcium and antioxidants. Government initiatives like the Millet Mission, Poshan Abhiyan and the inclusion of millets in midday meals and PDS are reviving this traditional grain. These efforts are sparking a quiet revolution, inspiring people to adopt healthier lifestyles through nutritious, eco-friendly food.
मेरा तब यही एम था कि हाँ, लोगों को कुछ अच्छा खिलाना है, कुछ स्वास्थ्य के जैसे उनको फ़ायदा हो ऐसा कुछ मुझे खिलाना है। तो तब से मैंने ये मिलेट सलाद बनाया और इससे ऐसा नहीं है कि हाँ लोगों को इसके बारे में नहीं पता है, लोगों को इसके बारे में अवेयरनेस आ रही है।
I'm consuming this from 1 year, and in fact it was consumed for a couple of years before as well. But the advantages of millet is mainly towards protein and the fiber that we get out of the food. This is very useful as far as your gut digestion system improvement is concerned.
The resurgence of millets goes beyond food. It's a celebration of heritage, a boost for farmers, and a step toward nutritional security. With the right blend of policy, innovation, and public awareness, India is set to lead the global millet revolution.
Nepal's political divide deepened this week as royalists launched a fresh wave of protests demanding the monarchy's return. Slogans echoed through Kathmandu, countered by ruling CPN-UML's pro-republic march, marking Republic Mahotsav. Tensions rose as both groups converged on the streets. While royalists vowed to crown a king again, UML leaders urged unity for the republic. Police intervened to prevent clashes, underscoring the growing fault lines in Nepal's fragile democratic journey. We have this report.
Nepali royalists on Thursday launched a new phase of protest for the restoration of monarchy, which saw hundreds of people chant slogans on the street on the first day. In defense of the republic, a new political system adopted in 2008 in Nepal, the ruling CPN-UML also held a counter-protest in the streets of Kathmandu in defense of the republic. The ruling party, led by Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli, organized a march in Kathmandu on Republic Day entitled Republic Mahotsav.
जनता आफै शासित बनेको दिन भएको हुनाले नेकपा एमालेले आज गणतन्त्र दिवसलाई र उत्सवको रूपमा मनाइरहेको छ र म सम्पूर्ण दाजुभाइ दिदीबहिनी र आमाबुवाहरूलाई गणतन्त्री राज्य व्यवस्थालाई सुदृढ गर्न संस्थागत गर्न र गणतन्त्रको पक्षमा आवाजहरू बुलन्द गर्नको निम्ति म यो गणतन्त्र दिवसको सन्दर्भमा सबैलाई आह्वान गर्न चाहन्छु।
The ruling party cadres and supporters chanted slogans in support of the republic as they marched along the streets of the capital. In the wake of possible tensions, the local administration had designated two different areas and timings for the two groups to converge on the streets. But the royalist forces, who claimed to have started a joint people's movement forging a committee, attempted to block the roadways for the parading cadres of the ruling parties. Police held the royalists on the side until the ruling party's parade passed by. The royalist right-wing Rashtriya Prajatantra Party, the fifth largest party in the lower house of the parliament, claimed that it would bring 25,000 people onto the streets. As per the estimate of Nepal police, about 3,000 protesters hit the streets of Kathmandu.
हामी नारायण हिलमा चढाएर उहाँलाई मुकुट लगाइदिएर मात्रै हामी चाहिँ झापा फर्किने हो। हाम्रो आन्दोलन जारी छ, हाम्रो राजेन्द्र लिङ्गदेन जारी छ, हाम्रो ज्ञानेन्द्र साईको जारी छ। सबै हाम्रो नेताहरू एक त हाम्रो 40 दल एउटा मुटु भराएको छौं। हामी 100 कोटी नेपालीको एउटै मुटु हुन्छ, त्यही मुटु जोडिकन राजाको मुकुट बनिन्छ भनेर।
Formed in the 1990s after the lifting of the ban on the formation of political parties by the then monarchical system, the Rashtriya Prajatantra Party has since served as a force always supporting the kingship. The monarch of the Himalayan nation, which follows the lineage of the Shah dynasty, was revered as the incarnation of the Hindu god Vishnu. With abolishment monarchy, it got limited to a very small group, which now again is re-emerging.
Now we take a look at some happenings in Asia in a segment called Asia Watch.
As temperatures soar in southern Iraq, workers at the country's seawater salt factory are embracing the heat. The Basra salt factory, located on the city's outskirts of Al-Faw, uses large concentration basins to harness seawater and produce salt, a method that benefits from the high temperatures brought on by climate change. According to a private investor in the factory, Abdul Khalek Al-Abadi, the company produces around 350,000 tons of salt annually. The salt is supplied across Iraq for diverse uses: in the oil industry for well extraction, in food-grade production, in water purification tablets, and in detergent manufacturing, Abadi added. Unlike traditional rock salt mining, seawater salt production is considered somewhat less environmentally invasive because it doesn't require blasting or deep extraction. However, experts warn that large-scale salt harvesting from seawater can disrupt coastal ecosystems. According to the United Nations Environment Programme, improper disposal of byproducts from desalination and salt works can lead to coastal water pollution and harm marine biodiversity. A teachers' protest disrupted traffic near Mexico City Airport last week as several nearby roads were blocked, leaving passengers struggling to reach the terminals. Many passengers resorted to walking down the empty streets with their luggage, while others waited to hitch a ride with police vehicles. Arriving passengers also reported difficulty securing taxis to leave the airport. The teachers, who have been blocking several main roads in the city throughout the week, are demanding a return to a solidarity pension system. The system was altered in 2007 to one where financial institutions manage pension funds. Additionally, the teachers are calling for a wage increase and the repeal of a 2019 educational reform. New Zealand Foreign Minister Winston Peters met with his Sri Lankan counterpart Vijitha Herath in Colombo to boost bilateral cooperation. During a joint statement following their meeting, Peters said that they had shared views on development, security and trade, adding that New Zealand would also be helping Sri Lanka with a recently announced sustainable water and livelihood project, which aims to provide further aid for local farming households. Herath said that they had also discussed advancing their interests in the sectors of trade and investment, agriculture, education, tourism, and sports.
Moving on. Early monsoon fears are gripping Nepal as the country braces for above-average rainfall for a second straight year. In Kavre Palan Chowk, where survivors like Muna Tamang are still recovering from last year's devastating floods, the early arrival of monsoon adds to the trauma. With damaged highways, fragile embankments and critical infrastructure still under repair, locals fear history may repeat itself as rivers swell and warnings rise across the Himalayan nation.
It is where Muna Tamang's house used to stand along with 4 dozen others till September 25, 2024. Now it has turned into an embankment covered with sand and rock, where the Roshi River carrying the murky water still flows through. 8 months after the devastating floods that hit the Himalayan nation from September 26 to 28, survivors like Tamang are striving to rebuild their lives in Narke, located along the BP highway in the Kavre Palan Chowk district. She lost her properties to the flood in the Roshi River, where her house and plots of land were swept away by the flood, bringing a drastic change to her life.
त्यो बाढी पहिरो जानु अघि चाहिँ 2-3 दिन पानी लगातार परिरहेको थियो ठिक्कको अनि बेलुकासम्म जस बिहानसम्म हामी घरभित्रै थियो अनि त्यहाँदेखि चाहिँ बिहानको त्यस्तै 5-6 बजेतिर चाहिँ यताको यहाँ हाम्रो झोलङ्गी पुल थियो अनि त्यो पुल चाहिँ यतापट्टि खोलाले हान्यो अनि त्यहाँदेखि पुल पारी भइसकेपछि यता खोलाले हानेर चाहिँ एकैचोटी घरहरू फटाफट हान्न थाल्यो के अनि हामी चाहिँ सामानहरू केही ल्याउन पाएन अनि मान्छे मात्र यता के रे मान्छे मात्र सबै पारी आयो अनि पारीको त्यो घरहरू चाहिँ सबै लग्यो.
Muna's worries has been aided by the early arrival of monsoon that has already hit the coast of India's southernmost state of Kerala on Saturday, 8 days earlier than usual, marking the earliest arrival in 16 years. The early arrival of monsoon with a warning of above average rainfall this year comes as a bane for the flood victims like Muna, which delivers nearly 70% of the rain that Nepal needs to water farms and replenish aquifers and reservoirs.
अनि डर त लागिहाल्छ नि अब असोजमै तर्साइहाल्यो हामीलाई हैन आज यतातिर पानी नपरिन माथिपट्टि पानी परेर यहाँ छेउसम्म यसपालि पनि अस्ति दिनको मात्र हान्न आयो खोलाले अब त के अब यहाँ अलि जोस अब घर त लगिहाल्यो हैन अलि सेफ चाहिँ हुन पाए बजारमा अलि बस्ने उचित चाहिँ हुन्छ कि भन्ने चाहिँ आशा छ.
The September flooding not only swept away Muna's home and properties, but also the sections of BP Highway, the shortest road connection to the southern plains of Nepal. Vehicles are now faring through the damaged sections of the major highway, which took 2 decades to complete construction with the help of temporary embankment built along the river side. Worries for Nepal's flood victims increase further as the Himalayan nation is likely to witness above normal monsoon rains for the second consecutive year, according to a regional consensus among South Asian meteorologists. According to the Road Division Office in Bhaktapur, diversions have been constructed in the affected area to resume transportation along the highway. It is suspected that it will take months, if not years, to reconstruct the disaster-ravaged highway to its previous condition.
After the Rosi flood, the major portion of the road has been destroyed, and we have been operating the excavator and constructing the embankment for the proper flow of the vehicles from here from Nepal to the Kathmandu.
The flood in Sankoshi River that day swept one suspension bridge and a section of the bridge that connected Sindhuli with Ramechhap. The twisted metals and remains of the suspension bridge stuck onto the slopes across the river, explaining the velocity of the river that day.
हामीलाई त्यो पुल बगाएपछि साह्रै अप्ठ्यारो हुन्छ हामी घाँस दाउरा पारिबाटै ल्याउने थियौं हैन हामीलाई राजछाप जिल्ला मन्थली जानलाई पनि साह्रै गाह्रो भएको थियो चाँडै नै अनि त्यो पुल बन्यो अर्को अब फेरि तुरुन्तै अर्को पुल पनि बन्ने उचित छ.
With monsoon set to kick in next month and the roads unprepared for the possible disaster, it would be only possible to operate the vehicle after the water level recedes.
Moving on. In a significant push towards rural empowerment and employment generation, a self-help group in Budgam district of India's Jammu and Kashmir has taken a bold step forward. With active support from the Jammu and Kashmir Rural Livelihoods Mission, the group has launched a notebook manufacturing unit, bringing fresh opportunities for skill development, income generation and self-reliance. The initiative is not only uplifting local women and youth, but also showcasing how grassroots entrepreneurship can spark meaningful change in the heart of rural Kashmir.
Located in the heart of Paharu village, the newly inaugurated notebook manufacturing unit is more than just a small-scale enterprise. It is a symbol of grassroots development and local empowerment. Established under a government-supported scheme through the Jammu and Kashmir Rural Livelihoods Mission, the unit reflects a broader commitment to nurturing rural entrepreneurship, fostering self-reliance and generating livelihood opportunities in underserved areas. By tapping into local resources and manpower, this initiative is helping to transform Paharu into a hub of productivity and hope, one notebook at a time.
ये इनिशिएटिव हमने कुछ महीने पहले स्टार्ट किया आफ्टर आई कंप्लीटेड माय बीबीए इन एविएशन एट बैंगलोर यूनिवर्सिटी. उसके बाद मैंने सोचा कि अपना कुछ बिजनेस किया जाए, मतलब जिससे मतलब मैंने जॉब का वेट भी नहीं किया. मैं सोच रहा था कि अपना कुछ बिजनेस स्टार्ट करूं, पहले से ही मेरे दिमाग में ये था. और मतलब बिजनेस में आपको पता ही है कि बहुत सारे अप्स एंड डाउन्स भी आते रहते हैं. इसी तरह से हमारे साथ भी ऐसा ही हुआ. पहले हमने जब स्टार्ट किया लोगों का सपोर्ट उतना खास मिला नहीं. उसके बाद जब कुछ टाइम हुआ उसके बाद हमें लोगों का सपोर्ट भी मिलना स्टार्ट हुआ. हम यूनिट्स क्या नोटबुक सेल करने लगे अच्छे से थोड़ा थोड़ा करके. तो आज हम अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह अच्छे से मतलब अप्रॉक्सीमेटली हमने 15 से 18,000 नोटबुक्स अभी तक सेल की है.
This holistic approach ensured that every member, particularly women and unemployed youth, was not only equipped with skills to operate machinery, but also empowered to understand the basics of production management and sales. Today, over a dozen local members are actively engaged in producing high-quality notebooks for both school and office use, turning a once quiet corner of Budgam into a center of purposeful economic activity and self-sufficiency.
ये लड़कियों को भी अपना बिजनेस स्टार्ट करना चाहिए। जो घर पे बैठे हैं पढ़ के एमए बैड करके जो बैठे हैं घर पे, उनको अपना बिजनेस स्टार्ट करना चाहिए। इससे बाकियों को भी फ़ायदा आया और उनको भी। हम यही चाहते हैं कि बेरोज़गारी ख़त्म होनी चाहिए। इससे हमारे बाकी सारे मेंबरों को भी फ़ायदा आएगा और ये जॉब्स भी प्रोवाइड करेंगे।
The initiative has already begun making a tangible impact in the village, not just by generating income, but also by instilling a renewed sense of purpose and pride among the locals. Plans are already underway to expand distribution networks across the Kashmir Valley, tapping into regional markets and educational institutions. As Budgam turns a fresh page in its journey of rural development, this initiative stands tall as a beacon of self-sustained progress, driven by the dedication of its community and backed by the continued support of the Jammu and Kashmir government. It is not just a business venture, it is a movement towards long-term inclusive growth.
As we wrap up today's episode of South Asia Today, we thank you for joining us. We'll return next week at the same time with more insights and updates. This is Shivangi Mishra signing off on behalf of our entire team. Until then, stay safe and goodbye.